All right, so you just watched the video on how to find a central idea. So the central idea, after you read a text, the central idea is the main thing the readers want you to know about a text. Okay, so we talked yesterday, you guys, we read Unbroken, right? So at the end of the day, we talked about Lauren Bendesky, right? And she had cancer, but her attitude stayed positive the entire time. Agree? Could you pull pieces from the entire text to support that? Yes, that is the central idea. The central idea, you might want to write this part down, is the main idea that authors want the reader to know about a text, okay? It's a complete sentence, okay? This needs to be a complete sentence that is supported by details in the text. Yesterday, we watched a video on how to cite specific evidence. You should be able to pull evidence from all through either that article or all through that section to support the central idea that you are saying, okay? So again, it is the main idea. Central idea is the main idea that the author wants the reader to know about a certain text, and it will be supported by evidence, okay? Okay, so there are some steps to find central idea and supporting details. These steps were in that video that you just watched. Again, if you didn't write them all down, that is fine, but these are just things to remind yourself as you're trying to figure out, okay, what is the central idea? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to read the article, and you got to look at the text features, the headings, the subheadings, the pictures, the captions, all of that. Look at everything that is included in the article, not just the text. Look at all the details. Then, what is the subject? So yesterday, the subject was Lauren had cancer. And what did the author want us to know? Well, the author wanted us to know that her attitude was positive, okay? And that is the central idea. The central idea is the subject and what should we know about that subject, okay? So those are the first two steps to finding out the central idea, okay? After you have the central idea, that's where steps 3 and 4 come into play. You can turn that central idea into a question, okay? How do we know that Lauren had cancer and had a positive attitude? Well, the answers to that question are what become your supporting details. You pull that out of the text, and that supports that she had cancer and she had a positive attitude, or whatever text you're reading and whatever central idea you have. Okay? All right, so we are going to practice this with Unbroken from yesterday. So go ahead and get that text out. If you remember, it is in the reading section of Schoology. All right, so again, we are going to work on figuring out central idea and details. First thing, everybody should have this thing in front of you. There is notes up at the top. All right, so you should have this worksheet out in front of you, okay? This one is about the central idea. If you misplace your notebook and you need a refresher, it tells you at the top, central idea of a story is one of the main points the author is making, okay? You will oftentimes hear central idea being called the main idea. And then it even says it can be supported, can always be supported with details from the text. And that is what we had talked about with the idea of numbers 3 and 4, where you turn the central idea into a question and the supporting details become the answer, okay? So this says Lauren Bendesky's battle with cancer was a life-changing experience. That is one of the central ideas of this article. Her battle with cancer was life-changing, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to ask ourselves, how was Lauren Bendesky's battle with cancer life-changing? And what I want you guys to do is take a few minutes and see if you can find specific sentences from Unbroken. We're going to try to fill up these 3 details. What 3 specific sentences can we use from the text that prove that her battle was a life-changing experience? Okay, so take a second and go try to find some of those. What pieces of evidence can we support that her battle was a life-changing experience? Yes, sir. What page are you on? Page 6. Okay. So you are saying, right on this page, what did you find? Okay. Her world stopped, right? Yeah, and I would almost say a little bit more specific. Her world stopped. Everything felt like a blur. Honestly, this next one, how could an active, energetic teenager have cancer? Okay. I would go with that. How could an active, oh, I should probably flip over here. Yes, write this on your sheet. An active, and this is going to be a direct quote, energetic teenager and this is, the author of this is Lewis, and this is page 6. All right, let's go for our next one. Sir, what did you find?
This is on page 8.
On page 8.
On the picture.
If you look at the caption, he found this right here. For us, it really brought us closer and showed us how strong we were. So we're going to make that a paraphrase, and we will just say the caption on page 8 says the family was brought closer and became stronger, right? And we can put Lewis there too, even though we already have the page number at the beginning. Okay, we have one last piece of evidence that says that her experience was life-changing. What is it? On page 9, it said losing her hair was part of her journey. It was like a badge of courage. So that was life-changing. We'll put direct quote there. Losing her hair was part of her journey. It was a badge of courage. Okay, and again, that's Lewis, who's the author, and then that's from page 9. Okay, there is plenty more evidence that you could use to support that this is a life-changing experience. That's the nice thing about central idea. First of all, you may have more than one, and you can always find evidence to support because it is the central idea of the entire article. The one that I found, you guys didn't even find, which is kind of neat because that means that we can continue to support. The one that I found was at the end of page 8, or at the beginning of page 8, when it said she had to say a temporary goodbye to her friends and her favorite activities and their school. So that's another evidence that you can use to support. So there's plenty to support those central ideas. Okay, let's look at the second part. The second part, they give us the central idea, or they give us the details. We have to figure out the central idea. Okay, so it says central idea of tough questions. So we are looking at a specific section. So if you will look at tough questions, it is at the very end of page 7 on the, I'm not sure what PDF page that is. Tough questions is right here, right above that picture that we looked at. Okay. It's on PDF page 5. So take a look, reread that really quick, and then we will figure out the central idea. So take a second and reread tough questions. All right, let's take a look at it. So we have the 3 details that are already included. We have, on her most difficult days, Lauren reminded herself that she was loved. In the hospital, she looked forward to visits with her mom, stepdad, and 8-year-old brother. And she said, I just looked for the light at the end of the tunnel. I had so much support all the time. So if you ask me, she reminded herself that she was loved. She looked forward to visits. And I just look for the light at the end of the tunnel. Light at the end of the tunnel, right? And then she had so much support. And also knowing that the title is tough. What do you think we can say, knowing all of this stuff? What could we say that section is about? What do you guys think? She had a tough time, but look at everything that was circled and underlined. Blake? She had a tough time, but what'd you say? She was trying to make the best of it. I like it. So we'll write that. That is the central idea of that section. She had a tough time, but she tried to make the best of it. And I will even add, make the best of it and look at the good stuff. And again, if that's my central idea, I have to make sure, can these details all support it? Well, most difficult days, that's a tough time, but she was loved. There it is. She looked for, or in the hospital, clearly not a great time, but she looked forward to visits with her mom, right? But and then the last one, I just looked at the light at the end of the tunnel. So clearly, if you're having a tough time looking at the light at the end of the tunnel, that's going to help you look for the positive stuff. Okay. All right. This is the last we're going to do a central idea for today. We will continue to focus on the central idea over the next couple weeks, but at least now we have a good understanding of it. Okay. And we're going to move on. So go ahead and put this in your reading, in your folder, and we will move on to a races response here shortly.